Hello, everybody. Welcome to our kickoff webinar for 2021. Kevin, roll camera. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 1 of our mini webinar series for 2021. For the start of 2021, we will be streaming a pre-recorded interview with Thorsten Warenkamp, CEO. We've taken this route because of lockdown issues. Neither of us is in Aachen in Germany at this moment in time, so we did a pre-recording yesterday evening, put the video together, and we've packaged that within the usual slides, which we will present to you now. This is the kickoff webinar for 2021. We have a number. The number exactly, I will not tell you yet, but it does appear during the course of the webinar. We have a number lined up in the first 6 months of this year. Kevin, next slide, please. And that brings me to the point I exactly raised. Don't forget the giveaway. So the studio is obviously empty because neither of us is there, but the giveaways are still available. And the question today, the question is a potluck or a game of chance or even a game of speed. I said we have a number of videos lined up for the first 6 months of this year. How many is that going to be until the end of June? You can either try and look quickly, or you can wait until the number appears at some point in the course of the webinar. Again, please put your answers into the chat, and the first person to answer correctly will, of course, win the giveaway this time. For your information, the giveaways will be becoming slightly more interesting. ficonTEC is celebrating 20 years of being in business, of being in the sector of photonics assembly and test. So there's going to be a few celebrations. There's going to be a party at the Laser Water Photonics event in Munich. And of course, we will be refreshing the website and all our collateral with icons, etc., that indicate this fact. The rest of the news, for those who are interested, is we will be bringing some corporate financial news very soon. In fact, that will go out this evening. An important development for ficonTEC as a corporate. There are some manpower changes and resource growth announcements. We were able to grow and move forward in 2020 despite COVID-19. Yes, so we have somebody who has correctly named the number of webinars coming up in the first 6 months. It is 10. That is correct. The dates can be found on our website. Carrying on with the news, there will be cooperation and partner announcements, for example, with Photonics 42, based in Northern Italy, who was helping with our tester system development project. And we have some further systems development news that we want to bring to you. And these will all come either over the usual social channels and or through press releases that we will put through the usual online and proper media channels. First and foremost, ficonTEC is still very much open for business in 2021, and we will be continuing the webinars for as long as they are needed. Kevin, next slide, please. So we'll keep things a little shorter than we have done in the past. Quickly, as to what are the goals of these webinars, there are still no real events. There are some events maybe on the horizon, but the reality is we don't know how soon they are going to be delivering, How soon, in fact, will corporates even allow their employees to travel? So we have to assume that real events are not going to be delivering classical leads as we have seen them in the past for some time yet. So we will certainly be continuing with the webinars for as long as that makes sense, and probably even longer because they are proving to be a useful source of information. We try to keep these short so that they are bite-sized. 20 to 30 minutes is the main content. This makes them guilt-free. You can get back to work. It doesn't take up half your day. And it's also an agile format, meaning we can up our game if we need to. What you will see and what you will hear, news and developments, as already indicated, it will either be about products and or technologies, or in this case, it is an interview with Torsten, and we have time for questions and answers if anybody wants to post something to the chat. And welcome everybody who has joined us in 2021. Kevin, next slide, please. Important note about the schedule. So we will be running 10 webinars in the first half of this year until the end of June. The first one is, of course, today, running now. They will otherwise occur on the first and third Wednesdays of each month. So not on any fifth Wednesdays, and obviously not on any public and national holidays, and neither if we have some clashes with some other, let's call them higher level events, where we think that our audience may well be missing. Those are the times for your locations around the globe. We will be reminding you, but tune in to pick up on the latest news. Kevin, next slide, please. Okay, so we are going to move, as I promised, quickly then onto the content of this webinar. As I said, this is a pre-recorded interview with Torsten where we review 2020 and also we provide an outlook of ficonTEC and what plans we have for 2021. And at that point, I really need to say nothing else because the content is in the interview. So Kevin, please. Welcome everybody to our kickoff webinar for 2021. We have a schedule of about 10 webinars lined up over the first half of the year. To kick off the series for 2021, we'll be having an interview with CEO Torsten Warenkamp. Hello Torsten, how are you doing?
Hi Greg, very good.
Okay.
So, totally enthusiastic to start 21.
Remotely?
Remotely, yes, actually.
Right, yeah. Well, hopefully we're going to see an improvement there in over the next few months. Although I guess the reality is for events, and I guess we'll talk about this in a little while, the reality is that we may not see any results from events for a little while, but let's get to that point later. So for everybody who's tuned in, the idea here is that we have a kickoff webinar interview with Torsten, where we look at 2020 in review, what the consequences of that were, what the changes were, what we had to implement, briefly just going through the various points. And then we move on to the outlook for 2021. Having a look at where we want to go, where we want to grow, where our focuses are, or foci are, and a few other aspects. So why don't we just start with the very first question? 2020, the year in review. Torsten, how do you see how 2020 was for ficonTEC?
Totally enthusiastic about the sales, the order income. 2020 was the best year we ever had in our whole history. That combined with the very difficult situation in shipping machines, which is finally meaning revenue. So 2020 was a year which was where we had to switch from full run, full swing shipping machines in a large quantities and having very fast factory acceptances in our facility, to the moment where we had to completely pause, because usually companies and our customers come to us. We have a very close relationship with the engineers in our lab, and where we work together as a team with the customers to finish the machines, doing a factory acceptance test, and then we ship. So from one moment to the other, that was not possible anymore. And this is pretty much continuing today. Nobody can visit us, nobody travels to our facility. So we had to completely change the dynamic, how we kind of install and not install, but accept the machines. And this is done completely remotely. and I'm super happy that we were able to do that so fast, so quickly. But it's a completely different way of working. We have to send data, you have to have video cameras, you have to look with the customer into the machine to give him the trust that the machine is finally doing what he bought. So totally different way of working.
And we are actually looking at alternative technologies, well, 3D, as a way to completing the acceptance test, right?
Yes. So, but it will help, but it's still work to implement it.
Right, and it's still a workaround, of course. There's no replacement for actually being on site and interacting with the customer and the operator.
I mean, we're really working on super complex devices where you have to understand the protocols, the electronics of these, for example, transceiver modules or LiDAR modules. So you need to understand the way how the data is flowing into the module, out of the module, and this is usually done with the customer's engineers at our facility, which is kind of super fast, and you have to be with oscilloscope and with the measurement instruments in the machine. It's not possible. So now we have to do that with a guided operation together with the customer.
Have there been any other immediately obvious hurdles associated with COVID-19? Shift work, I mean, you've talked about shipping. I guess there's been some hurdles in production and in terms of shift work amongst the staff as well. But I think these have been probably largely coped with very well.
Yeah, so we haven't seen a big impact on our supply chain due to the fact that we had such a fast growth over the last years. We have a pretty well-equipped warehouse where all the key components, and that was especially we were forced during the fast growth years in 18 and 19, especially on the motion control systems, on the bearings, on all the precision mechanic parts. That's all in our warehouse.
Moving away from the production and the shipping side, so from at least from a pipeline perspective, right? There's a large number of orders that have come in 2020. We haven't been able to deliver all of those systems, so there's in terms of what needs to go out still, there's plenty of work that needs to be done there. Moving away from that production and shipping aspect, and what else is going on in the company?
Driven by this effect that actually China and US are separating more and more from each other, we have to go more in this direction of think global, act local approach. What really drives us at the moment is we were always thinking very centric, having our apps lab, the application lab in our headquarters in Germany. We were easily able to travel. That is changing, and that is the reason why we are working very hard on increasing our application and capabilities, application capabilities in China, but now also in US. So China, we're doing that already for a while, but we see a very strong demand to have an application engineering lab in US too. We're currently working very closely with some larger and very well-known universities to find the space. We are hiring right now the first people to support us in that lab. We are strengthening our especially support system in US. We have very good new team members in the US, which are supporting on that side. We started that already in 2019. We are building up a complete new management structure. So we have a new COO, Hartwig Pfleging, who is running the operation in Achim. And there's a lot of things going on to support the growth. We have a new setup in our sales team. So we brought Augusto Maidelli into the team, who is taking now over the director of sales position, who will help us with all his knowledge from his past in order to give a completely new drive to the sales team, a new structure. The way how we interact with customers is changing. We're bringing new project managers. We are strengthening our our automation team tremendously. So we are nearly going to double it, because we see that is really one of the key drivers. We need to be very close together with the customer, and we have to have enough time per machine, per customer. And this is finally where we put the life into the machine. And if you do that process correctly, and therefore you need time, therefore you need to have the manpower. That's the reason why we're investing so much into this automation team right now.
That prompts the question for me: if you say that 2020 was in terms of deliveries, and therefore in terms of payment was not an ideal year, what has happened that has facilitated this growth despite COVID-19?
It's a very good question. So we are very happy to announce that the company Robotechnik is investing into ficonTEC. It's actually a Chinese machine building company, with a large footprint in the Chinese industry, specifically in the photovoltaic and automotive industry. And they will help us to grow specifically our Chinese business, because our footprint for these large Chinese conglomerates, it was too small. So we always only did the R&D work in China, but then the large installed bases were done by either the companies themselves or some local machine vendors.
What are the equipment synergies?
So they have a large manufacturing site in China. They have a good support network. They have space. They have a very, very good reputation when it comes to how they deal with their customers. But they're not active in the photonics world at all. We will use their facilities. We'll use their resources in order to strengthen our footprint in China. It gives us the financial backup and also the experience how to act good in China. So we were always very good positioned in US and Europe, but there was this big part missing in China.
Okay, and I think there are additional aspects associated with this. The directional input to the company is still very much located here in Europe, I think, right?
No, that's the head office will be here. We will keep the management structure. Actually, we get more horsepower in Europe in order to do what we are good at and to develop that further. The press release coming out very shortly, so I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here.
What about the product and technology developments that are going on at the moment? So I'm thinking here in terms of what sort of systems or lines are going online, are becoming live. Testing is something that we've been touting on the various social channels, for example, is something that we're investing heavily in. We've had a webinar on LiDAR technology and our positioning there. What's been going on and what is on the horizon?
Actually, despite the fact that we are still the largest number of machines shipping to the telecom datacom market, even though there's a lot of a little bit new developments here and there, new connectors, the new way how fibers are routed and things like that. COBO is a topic we have to work on. The thing which drives us tremendously right now in terms of new machine developments is LiDAR. So it's not a large quantity of machines, but it's a large number of different customers. So in total, I think we are working for 12 different LiDAR companies, which are all in the from the first parts which are manually manufactured now to the few parts, hundreds of parts we have done with our semi-automatic machines. We're now converging with the first customers into larger volume production. So the first machines running already in production, producing hundreds of devices, and now we need to scale. So that is what we are doing with several customers in different levels. Some of them are still in the R&D phase, the semi-automatic phase, but also a few of them already in a larger.
So true to our motto, from lab to fab.
That's really, yes, from lab to fab is here really one of the keywords, and it really helped our customers to develop.
Right.
So even though we impacted the design of the devices by showing them how the machine will finally work. So that is a very intensive cooperation with our customers.
And I think it demonstrates very well the breadth within the process or product process development flow of where we can interact with these customers, right? And that's right from the very start of the prototyping all the way through up to scaling up to
even before they place even an order. So our application lab is always really willing to help in getting the first few demo parts made and showing what needs to be improved on a design in order to really make it ready for manufacturing.
Okay. So we've had a webinar on LiDAR. That should be online very soon. We don't need to go into any more detail about that. I think the viewers can just go ahead and check that out online themselves. Are there any other technology areas we're moving into rapidly?
Rapidly, where the whole test and measurement of photonic devices is a large topic. It was always part of our assembly machines,
right?
Because always a part of the assembly is also driving the device, reading signals out of the device, bringing optical signals into the device. So it was always a part of our business by nature. But now the number of machines which are testing optical component or silicon photonic devices, integrated photonic components, is increasing dramatically. So we have put a complete new line out on wafer level test systems. It can be for VCSEL devices, but majority is for integrated photonic devices on wafer level, with two 6-axis aligners, with edge coupling technology, with all the instrumentation. So we're working with several instrumentation companies closely together in order to integrate all these instruments into our software, and majority of them is already integrated, which helps finally the customer to be faster implementing very individual or very customized test and measurement projects onto a standard platform for wafer level test.
So we actually have a team and even external resources helping us with that project. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we're working with several companies together. One of them is, for example, Photonics 42. But there's also other companies like Technoprobe we're working closely with. So there's like Coherent Solution, a Keysight. So the different instrument providers, and what is very helpful here is the background of our new sales teams, because they're coming out from National Instruments. So so there's also good cooperation with National Instruments.
And leading that project for us is Ignazio Piacentini, and I think if the viewers tune into the EPIC YouTube channel, they will actually find a webinar given by EPIC and an online technology meeting where Ignazio actually gave a presentation on where we are, and in fact where testing as a whole is currently situated.
Yeah, Ignaz is always keeping me on my toes, because he's always saying I'm too slow.
Oh,
I'm trying to follow him.
Okay, very good. Then you need exactly those sort of people leading the teams, right?
Yeah, he does that very well.
What other developments have been in 2020 in terms of
21?
Well, okay, so I guess moving 2020 to 21. Thank you. What else has been going on in terms of breakthroughs in how we function or how we deliver to existing or new customers?
So I think I mentioned that already in one of the webinars that we installed the I think it's the largest photonic inline system. So 14 systems which are producing a sensor really from a number of trays over a few components which are assembled into the device, completely tested, end-of-line testing, laser marked, completely qualified, going into a blister and leaving in this blister to the customer side. So it's 14 machines in this line. And I just got the latest information. So we are running this right now on 98% yield with a super high performance. So we needed help for this to do this kind of work, because it's line thinking is different from building individual machines in terms of takt times and the way how these kind of process flows work. But we have a really, really good help from a company called Duramentum. And we will continue working with them on this line concept. But they really helped us to talk about OEE numbers, so overall equipment efficiency, which is a key word in that world. And I think we'll have a webinar specifically for that when it comes to high volume.
That is correct.
Yeah.
That's on my to-do list. I think it's important to mention that when we consider the transition from low volume manufacturing to high volume manufacturing, you're not interested in process time.
No.
It's process time translates to takt time. Are you looking at the overall performance? It's just an entirely different set of parameters and budget considerations. And luckily, our software is able to handle the job, right?
Yeah, with the overall system architecture, combining all these machines, talking to the other one united database, really from components in, components out, everything is tracked, completely communicating also to the manufacturing and manufacturing enterprise system, the MES. So yeah, it's all there.
Okay, and in terms of taking software to the next level, I believe something else has happened this year that we can talk indirectly about.
Yeah, at the end of last year, we had a few workshops, which is going into the next dimension of our software. So we'll come up within 21 with a complete new way how our machines will handle information, how they will be programmed, how they interact with other tools, how you can manage them. They will have augmented reality capabilities. There will be machine learning with partners who are working together, that we have predictive and preventive maintenance integrated in the machines. So all this is coming up now, and it's like it's needed by our customers, and we are trying to be a little bit ahead of them before they ask us. We want to have it.
And for the viewers, we've already had a video covering the aspects of artificial intelligence and machine learning based performance services upgrades for the software layer we offer with the systems. So if you look onto the website or on our Vimeo channel, then that webinar is available for viewing as well. Good, thank you. The next point I have on my list is team and applications lab expansions in 2021. I guess we've touched on those
already,
to a degree already, so we don't need to cover that anymore. I guess something that has maybe fallen a little bit below the noise level is ficonTEC Ireland, associated with Tyndall. Is there any news that's happened there?
Oh, so we have the new lab was just opened. There's 2 machines installed, and there will be others going there soon. And we're looking for more people, so we're going to increase staffing. We're interviewing very good research engineers already, and that will come soon.
And that will also help form an additional applications lab, right? In that location.
But a little bit driven more into the medical space.
Good. So the next point I have on my list is COVID-19 moving forward. So one of the main points I had regarding that was the SAT and the FAT, so the acceptance tests. We've covered that point as well as already. Are there any other aspects of COVID-19 moving forward that we see as, how do we see that maybe changing over the course of the year? And with this question, I guess I'm thinking about well, you've mentioned it yourself, being able to deliver. I think other aspects include events as well.
For sure. So as I mentioned already, we are increasing the number of automation engineers currently dramatically, because every FAT takes a little bit longer time. So we need to be at the machine with also human resource, and this is what we are doing right now. Trade shows was usually the biggest part of our yearly marketing events, and it was very important for us to meet customers, existing customers who told us about new stuff they're doing, or completely new customers we were able to convince that we are the right company to work with. That's all gone.
That opportunity for dialogue at a real event, right?
And I have to say, I miss that. I'm miss that very, very much. But we have to live with it, and that's the reason why we're doing exactly events like this, trying to talk about us, trying to discuss with customers in webinars or in online meetings what we can do for them. So I think everything we're doing goes online, but as I can't wait to see my customers again.
An important question for us and just about everybody else in the photonics arena, I think, as well, is when do we think the photonics events are going to come back online in terms of, I mean, there are several aspects to consider as whether they're going to take place at all real. Certainly Photonics West has already transitioned to a virtual format. Another question is when corporations are going to let their people travel again.
For us, the biggest planned events for 21 is the Laser World of Photonics. We have our 20th anniversary, and everybody who knows ficonTEC, they know that we like parties. And
it says exactly 20 years of ficonTEC right here.
Exactly, 20 years of ficonTEC, and we're going to celebrate for sure.
Very good. I've already allocated the budget, so, or rather Augusto has. Okay, I look forward to that. I look forward to organizing that as well, actually. I mean, we've been talking along for more than enough now, I think, for the first webinar. Are there any other outlook points that you would like to mention or discuss? I mean, it's, do we have growth plans? What are the operational consequences of that?
The growth plans, tremendous growth plans for the next couple of years. There's new technical directions ficonTEC will take. Very interesting new things which are going on, which I can't really talk about right now.
Okay.
But it will be very, very interesting and challenging.
Okay, let me do it this way, or maybe there's nothing to say, but what is the next LiDAR?
Quantum photonics.
Well, there's certainly a lot of funding going into that area, right? Okay, so things are looking rosy. We have plenty of systems we need to deliver, right? We are growing, and we have a very positive outlook to the immediate future, certainly, and we have growth plans. I mean, we are already the number one, I think, in terms of assembly and test, and the breadth of systems that we can deliver to the customer, and the breadth of capability, and also the range with which we can fit in with a production development flow. So things are looking good, and I'm looking forward to getting the job done in 2021.
Yep. And
awesome. Thank you very much.
Our new investor, we will even increase the speed. I'm super excited.
Good. Thanks very much for your time and for your comments, and we'll get you back here soon again. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So we'll that's the end of the interview. Thank you for listening. As I said before, for those of you who have joined us later, that was pre-recorded. Due to various issues, we can't be in the same place at the same time. If there are any questions, you can please add them to the chat, or send us an email, drop us a line, reach us via the webpage, and I will give you some indications of how you can now do that. Next slide, please, Kevin. Effectively, if you are a potential customer, what is in it for you? Just a couple of points really I want to cover very quickly. We collaborate with R&D and with funded projects and initiatives in the field, and we've done that for many, many, many years. We believe it's important to give and take out of the ecosystem to help move integrated photonics manufacturing and test along towards the future. As a result of those collaborations, we naturally have acquired partners in the form of R&D institutes, contract manufacturers, etc., who can help you with your manufacturing troubles after you've acquired a ficonTEC machine, of course. We have a customer base that spans the technology leaders in a number of important high technology sectors across Europe, Asia, and North America. And in those 20 years, then we have around 900 machines currently installed and supported globally. The net takeaway for you is if you have a problem, if you have a manufacturing or product development issue with photonics, it's probably ficonTEC that most likely has the solution you need. Next slide, please, Kevin. So you can find out more about what we do and what we have to offer and about our product lines, first of all, on the webpage and through the webinars. Those should be your first 2 points of call in any case, in any situation. Through the webinars, we are attempting to build a library of information and details about developments, what we can do, capabilities, technologies that we can call upon over other channels, and even cross-link between webinars and between online technology meetings to show that we are capable of. You can find videos and process snippet videos, let's call them assorted video shorts, on our website. And you can find larger versions of the same videos to a degree on our Vimeo channel, so too on YouTube. Also, next slide, please. If you go to the webpage, again, you will find, as indicated here on the right-hand side, there are some buttons, some icons you can press, you can click on, that will take you to our blog page, to our LinkedIn and Twitter feeds, to our Vimeo YouTube channels, to our Insider blog page, I mentioned that already, but also to a page that lists our locations and contacts if you feel you want to talk to somebody directly and have some specific questions you want answered in real time. That, of course, is something we can also do. You can also find out about other products we have on the webpage. Those are listed on the Solutions and Platforms page. And you can find out some interesting entries in our blog. As I already mentioned, you can find PDFs to the various product lines on our webpage, although those generally are overview documents because most of what we deliver are custom systems, and it's difficult to write a PDF on what is effectively a moving target. So if you have any detailed questions about what those systems can do, just reach out and get in touch, and we will do our best to answer those. Last slide. These are our points of presence throughout the globe. You can find out more details about those exactly on our webpage. Those are listed. We have applications labs being set up, as Torsten said in the interview, in the USA. That is something that should be happening in the next few months. We have an applications lab set up in Cork in Ireland, associated with the Tyndall Institute, which I'm sure some of you are aware of. We have an applications lab centered in Aachen in Germany at HQ, and also too in Shenzhen in China. So at least 4 locations or more that can be reached. If people have any particular applications or product development challenges that need to be solved, we are there, we can be reached. And I believe that is the final slide. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you everybody for staying the distance and watching with us. This webinar, if you missed anything, if you want to view it again, this webinar will be freely available on our webpage. This is our kickoff webinar for our series through 2021. There will be 10 webinars until the end of June. The other webinars are, of course, available through registration. You register once, you have access to everything that is gated, that we consider as premium content on our webpage, and that premium content will be expanding with white papers, technical documents, further webinars, of course, and other collateral. Tune in and take a look at what we have to offer over the next few months. Thank you, everybody, again. Stay healthy, and let's hope that we get back to an even keel within a very few short months. Thank you again, and goodbye.